You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards-Nagel, and Teighlor Polindo.
At the end of the week, it's Father's Day in the United States, and we wish a happy Father's Day to all of our listeners. We know some of you are brand new fathers, some of you are very experienced fathers, and we hope that you have a great celebration. Now, in celebrating Father's Day, we, of course, want to recognize fathers who might be missing this year, or for those of you who want to become fathers and haven't yet been able to do that. We simply want to acknowledge you and let you know that you're a part of our tribe too. As your hosts of the podcast, it's obvious that none of us have ever been fathers. So we have invited our partners to take over the podcast in honor of Father's Day. That's right. You're not going to see me, Teighlor, or Meredith. Listen to Pete, Ralph, and Tommy discuss their experiences in fatherhood.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Asking for a Friend with the TalkDoc. This is a special edition for Father's Day. So husbands are on. We're going to talk about being a father. Meredith and myself are expecting our first. Yeah. So I want to ask these guys just some questions and, some advice on this big journey we're about to go on. So let's introduce ourselves.
My name is Rafael Polindo. Friends call me Ralph. I am Teighlor's husband, and we have two boys, Leonidas, who's 3, and Olympus, who just turned 8 months.
Yeah, and I'm Pete, and I am TalkDoc's spouse. So if you've been wondering, that's me. We have 3 grown children, 2 boys and a girl. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here today and talk about whatever Tommy's going to ask us.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this, and appreciate all our lovely wives and the TalkDoc for letting us take over Asking for a Friend with the TalkDoc tonight. So, and happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Let's just get into the questions.
Let's do it. Tommy, you can turn your hat around once you have a kid. It's kind of like the graduation.
Exactly. I like that.
So you can still rock the backwards. You can still rock the backwards.
All right, guys. Let's we came here to talk about being a new dad, which that's what I'm about to be here in a few weeks.
Oh boy.
I wanted to start it off kind of on a light note and just ask you guys if you could tell me a funny story that you want to share about being a father. And the second part of it is, maybe did you learn something from it?
I'll jump first. Just because it's fresh in mind. But so this story it wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now looking back. And there is a moral lesson to it. This was maybe 2 years ago. Our first, Leonidas, was I think just 1 or so. Still small enough to like bounce on my knee. I'm sitting at my computer desk like I am now. And I'm on a Zoom call for work. This is during COVID, so everyone's at home. Everyone's doing, Zooming into their work calls. And I have him sitting on my knee, and everyone's commenting, "Oh, how cute, like how sweet, this and that." And so the meeting's going on, and one of our partners is presenting, and I'm just holding him there, and he's got this new like Batman figurine that my mom gave him that he's kind of playing with, and he's super chill, everything's going great. And then he just like stops and looks at the screen right ahead and chucks the toy right at my monitor, and I just see it spiderweb just all across the screen. He just shattered it. Colors change everywhere. And this is like right in the middle of the Zoom call. And I just have this like dead expression on my face. Cause I'm like, I can't strangle him right now because everyone's watching me, but
oh my gosh. Was it a super expensive MacBook?
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, it was like a Costco monitor, but it was like a nice ultra wide.
But still,
so I had to go that day, and like the only one that was in stock was over an hour and a half away. And anyway, so the moral of the story is, you're gonna get to a point where you feel comfortable, where you're like, "Oh, I've got this. This is easy. I've got it figured out. It's going good." And then here comes the curveball with a toy chucked at your screen.
That's a good segue into my.
All right, bring it.
I think that is truth there. That. Just when you think you got everything down, something crazy happens, and you never know when it's going to happen exactly. So we had a time when our kids were a lot younger than they are now. They're grown, where we were scheduled on a weekend, and with 3 kids, you have a busy schedule typically, with 7 soccer games. So we went to all of the games, all 7 games, and we lost all the games.
You lost all 7?
Lost all 7.
That's a tough day.
Then there was one more event. Our middle child, our daughter, had a piano recital. And we went to that recital. When she sat down to the piano and began to play, she just abandoned ship. That was it.
Really?
She walked away.
Did
We're
she
all sitting
lose?
there.
Was she one of the 7 games that was lost that day?
She was number
She-
8. 0
she-
for 8. We were 0 for 8 that day.
Oh
and
my
I would
gosh.
say kind of the lesson learned is just don't take yourself too seriously. Really. Things are going to happen. And they
I'm
did to
kind of
us that
gathering
day.
from you guys that patience might be key. Having
That's
patience.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
and then Pete, it sounds like, yeah, you kind of have to, I guess go into things being aware that things can change at any moment.
Yeah, your patience will be tested more than it
It's
ever
so
has.
true. I mean, really, it seemed like the more kids that as we added to our family, I wanted to have more control, but it was increasingly less. It was learning to live with less control.
Next question I have for you guys is, what value is most important to you that you try to instill in your kids, and how do you do that?
Go for it, Pete.
All right. So it's hard to pin down just one, but the one when I was, prepping for this that really came to mind was curiosity. Instilling a sense of curiosity in our children, because a natural sense of, or a developed sense of curiosity leads to so much wonder, exploration, innovation. For our kids, that was an important value that TalkDoc and I both held really dear. I think it was simply exposing our kids as early as possible to a bigger world. Travel was a big part of what we did when the kids were growing up. So we tried to do it that way. We read to our children almost relentlessly from the time they were infants, even though they couldn't quite understand what we were saying. That's just, I think, a value that we held very dear, and a little bit of the way that we tried to instill it in our kids. And I think they do have it today. They express it in their unique ways.
I like that, because it's actually, kind of coming up with some of these questions. Obviously, I'm thinking of what the answers might be, and I'm obviously, a father to be. So that's why we're here talking to you guys, get some insight. But that's one I honestly didn't think of, but that I absolutely love, because I think that is so important. I feel like even as a child, it was brought on to me a lot, but I almost feel like, I don't know, and maybe I'm totally wrong, I see in some children today losing that a little bit. And I feel like that's really important to, bring back and really instill. Good one.
How about
Very
you,
good
Ralph?
one.
The one that comes top of mind, I got to give credit to Teighlor. I don't know if she heard it in a podcast or read it somewhere or just came up with it on her own. I think she lies awake at night thinking of how she can make our kids better human beings, which I love. I guess you could narrow it down to self-confidence, but I think it's much more than that. It's a sense of not relying on externalities to find meaning and identity and self-worth. And a simple way that we've approached it is traditionally kids, we always want to tell them we're proud of them. We're proud of them. And you hear so many adults who never heard that from their parents and how much it affected them, and they're constantly striving to earn people's approval. But what she came up with was first teaching him to say, I'm proud of myself. And then we can then respond saying, I'm proud of you too, joining in that. The other day there was something he did, I forget if it was building a puzzle or some accomplishment he had, and unprovoked, he just ran up to us and shouted, I'm so proud of myself. And we said, we're so proud of you too. We got to join in that, but really helping him to establish this sense that he doesn't need to look for validation outside of himself, and he's not reliant on somewhere else to find the answers, that everything he needs is within, and having that confidence and that determination that can propel him in different situations and stuff. But it's just a real simple way to start him on that path. And so that's one thing I appreciate.
I love that. I think that's so important, just, as we grow older and grow into men and have our own families, to, know to be proud of ourselves. I feel like it even helps you to, work harder, strive to be better as yourself, that you're not trying to prove it to anyone else. You're
exactly
actually, I guess, comfortable at looking in the mirror and, just saying, how did I do? Judge yourself.
Yeah. Can I live with myself? Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Cool. Those are great, guys. Well, let's
Hey,
move
Tommy,
right
I got to
on.
break
Yes.
in here because you know TalkDoc is famous for her quizzes.
Oh,
I've got a quiz for you guys. Father's
Oh my
Day
gosh,
quiz.
are you
All
serious?
right.
Okay.
Time for a Father's Day
This
quiz.
was not
Mm.
expected,
Ready?
but I love
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
How this works, right? You do listen to the episodes.
Yes. I do.
All right. We're going to start with question number 1. In the United States, when was Father's Day first celebrated? 1940, 1920, 1910, or 1930?
I'm going with 1940.
I'm gonna go with
Ralph's going for 1940.
1940. That was during World War II. I don't know.
All right.
1930.
1930. Well, I'm sorry, you're both incorrect.
Oh,
It's
Or
1910.
Oh,
Okay.
1910. Wow, I was gonna say
Yeah,
1920.
it's been around for
Wow, it's been a
What,
long
what,
time.
110, 111 years,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Let's try
Womp
the next question.
Okay.
Of the following gifts given for Father's Day in 2021, which is the most popular? A, power tools. B, a special card. C, a necktie. D, clothing.
I feel like neckties are always the joke,
Yeah.
classic joke gift in sitcoms and stuff. It's like, oh, just pick up a necktie. So
All right, necktie. Ralph's
Yeah, I
going
don't
with
think
necktie.
that's it. I want to say power tools because that would be cool, but I
mm,
feel like the most popular, or probably the one most attainable for most people, is probably a card.
yeah, I'd probably say card, especially given COVID. I'm guessing people just
All right, Ralph, you got to
mailed
lock down.
cards.
You said necktie, then you said
Well,
card.
I'm
Can't
saying
have the same answer.
I said card first.
He did.
Speed
No, I was
wins.
just saying that necktie is like the quintessential, Father's Day
Right.
gift that you
is
see.
the Father's Day gift.
Yeah. All right. I'll stick with it. That's fine. I
All
can
right.
do
The
double
answer
goose egg.
is clothing.
Clothing.
46%.
Of which a
Wow.
necktie is
Now,
No.
we'll,
associated. So half a
it
point.
is. I will give you guys clothing is a broad category.
Yeah.
So it covers a lot of
You gotta-
territory.
yeah.
46% of territory, I guess. All right. So you're tied.
Mm. Okay.
0-0. All right. Question 3.
Mhm.
How much does the average person spend on Father's Day gifts?
Ooh.
Now, since you're tied at 0,
Mhm.
I'm going to take the closest answer,
Ah.
which will
Is it-
require jujitsu math skills to figure out what is your answer.
Is it closest without going over? Like the price is
Ooh.
right?
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Now that the rules are set.
Yeah. Is it multiple choice or do we just throw out a number?
No, it's not multiple choice.
Okay.
It's an open
Oh,
fill in the blank.
Okay.
Well, if it's clothing, I'd say $25.
$25. All right.
Mhm.
Tommy. Ralph says 25.
I'll go $24.99.
$24.99.
This
Now.
guy.
The good news is Ralph was closer. The bad news is you're way off. It's $148.58. You
$148.
cheapos.
That's the average.
Close. Yeah.
Wow. I'm
Fancy.
excited for Father's Day.
It's a big,
Sorry,
it's a big
Dad.
number. It's a
Sorry,
big.
Dad.
Actually, it's shocking to me, honestly.
Yeah.
That puts Ralph in the winner's seat. So congratulations.
What do I
Ralph.
get? Do I get a asking for a friend
you
mug?
get to continue this podcast.
Okay.
Not
That is the
kicked
quiz.
off.
That's the Father's Day quiz. I hope everybody.
I loved
enjoyed
it. It was
All right.
awesome.
It's really back to you, Tom.
I should have known there was gonna be a quiz. Should have done some Father's Day research. Darn it. So this is I think this is kind of a big one for new dads actually. And this isn't so much about, raising your kid and whatnot, but being a first-time dad, do you guys have some advice on just how to comfort, support your wife during labor and delivery? And I think the first few days following that are a big fear to new dads of like, oh, what do I do kind of thing. Is there any, tips?
Sure.
You're closest. You're closest to the birth event.
I'm probably fresher on that. A big one for us was the Bradley method. Can't recommend it highly enough, especially if folks don't know by now, our firstborn was an accidental home birth. And so having read the Bradley method and prepared with that in mind, I can't imagine going through that experience without having that background. So highly recommend that. If you can get to a class, do it. Otherwise, just read the book, and it helps kind of prepare you for the different stages of childbirth and how to coach and be there for your wife.
I was just going to say that's actually one thing that we did do, and I have to agree, not doing it yet, but
Yeah.
the amount of education you get doing the Bradley class and reading about it and all that is pretty amazing. And I guess my question, which I think you were going to answer, was, what's something that really sticks out though, that you're like, I did it, this works, help a brother out.
I feel like we're in sync here. We're just right. So one of the biggest ones is, as we're preparing for this, making sure that we both read and understood the material so that we were on the same page. Because when you're in the middle of labor and things may start going sideways, or there's, a lot of intensity and stuff, you want to make sure that, you have agreed to certain things beforehand. So when I'm reminding Teighlor, unclench your jaw, breathe, take deep breaths, embrace the contractions. She's not looking at me like, shut up, you idiot. She's like, it's reminding her, oh yeah, that's what, we wanted to do for this. So I think that was the most surprising thing, was even though we went in knowing the material, she's so focused in the moment on what's happening in her body that she does need those gentle reminders of, relax your jaw, breathe through your nose, deep breaths and stuff like that. So I could tell moments where she was so focused on the pain or what was happening that she was kind of pulling herself out of the zone, and then just reminding her would bring her right back into place, and then she'd get into a real good spot and good rhythm. So that's a big one. Make sure that you're close, you're in it, you're whispering in her ear, you're reassuring her of the things that you talked about beforehand, and the way that you want to approach it, because she's going to need help staying focused. There's going to be a lot going on in her body, especially new experience. So that's a huge one for the labor and delivery. Post that, as much as you can, do most, if not all, of the diaper changes, just because it gives her a break. As tired as you're going to be those first couple of weeks, she's like at least double that tired, because she's got the body stuff that she's dealing with on a healing and recovery level. She's got breastfeeding, which drains you of energy as well. She's going to need sleep and recovery. So as much as you can, jump in there, take care of the diapers. It gives her, a little break and something that she doesn't have to think about. And then really just be super attentive during the healing afterwards, whether C-section or natural birth or whatever. It's pretty intense what women's bodies go through. And so there's going to be a period where she's super fragile. So, helping her to the bathroom, getting her whatever she needs, reminding her to take it slow, take it easy, let your body rest and recover. So for those first couple of weeks, you're just going to have to just handle, as much as you can. Can't think about your own needs at that point, and just help her to get through at least those first couple of weeks. And then once you start getting into that rhythm, then you can tag team a bit more. But yeah, just be prepared for that. Yeah. And lots of caffeine. Yeah.
Perfect. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I will add a little more on the positive side. Two things. Skin to skin that was my favorite thing, like post-birth. So as much as possible, rip off your shirt, put that baby directly on your chest, and then just hold her and because there's something, I forget exactly what happens on a biological level, but something about the baby feeling your heartbeat, smelling you, doing, close in your presence. There's a bonding that happens. It's super important, and it just feels amazing, like just holding this little life close to you. So skin to skin is a big one. And another one is eye contact. So I don't know if you've heard this, but there's been studies done where when babies are looking at you and maintaining eye contact, it's actually helping them form neural pathways in their brain. And so hold that gaze as long as possible. Like stay focused, stay in the moment, look them in the face, smile. If you see them lock eyes with you, just hang there, because there's magic happening there that we still don't fully understand, but it's helping their brain development and things like that. So those are two like awesome magical things about, the infant stage, along with the exhaustion and diaper changes and all that.
That's really cool, because I've heard about the skin to skin, and I'm planning on that, and I've been reading about it and stuff. The eye contact, I really haven't heard about, but it makes sense, and that's really good advice. So thank you for that. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
both of you guys. This is good stuff. I'm feeling stronger already. I can do this.
There you go.
So this is a question just for Pete. Just real quick, as a dad with a daughter, is there any special words of wisdom, advice you got since
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be having.
I'm so thrilled looking back that we have a daughter. We have 2 sons and a daughter. And I would say my advice is uppy snuggles. Let me explain what I mean.
What does that mean?
When our daughter was little and I was coming home from work or in the morning or really any time she wanted to be comforted or reassured, she would look up at me and say, "Uppy snuggles, Daddy, uppy snuggles." And what that meant is I would pick her up and hold her close.
Ah,
And tenderness is really important. Our daughter wanted to know that I loved her and would protect her. And it was really about the time I spent with her. And it wasn't so much about what we did together, it was that we were doing something together. It was the time together. And I remember when she was little, I would come home from work and I had a bike. I don't remember what kind of bike it was, but it had a child seat on the back of it. I don't know if they have these anymore, but I strapped the child seat on and she could go in the seat behind me and we would go off to the park and she would play in the playground and I would play with her. And it really didn't matter so much what the activity was. It's that we were together. And so I think Ralph mentioned earlier, and he was kind of coming at it more from a data perspective or scientific perspective about eye contact and making sure that we stop what we're doing and really look at this. This is more generally my observations about having children than it is about daughters, but they really just want to know they're loved for who they are, never for what they do. I think Ralph kind of alluded to this as well. And so that's my thought about daughters. You will have a wonderful adventure process.
I'm excited. I honestly, I'm excited to be, a girl dad. And I think she's going to be, I know it. She's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So for both of you guys, what are you most proud of in your role as a dad?
I'm going to give a joke answer and the real answer. My joke answer is that I've already passed on my dad joke level of humor. The other day, Leo started telling me a joke and he said, "Knock, knock." I said, "Who's there?" And he said, "Birds are here eating my house." And it's because he heard a woodpecker outside, like pecking on the house. I was like, that joke works on so many levels. I'm so impressed. So, it blew me away that he invented his own knock, knock joke. And it was actually pretty good. But I think it's tough to say, what am I most proud of? I don't know that I've stopped to reflect on what has brought me pride, but I think I'm still in a stage where I'm just experiencing the joy of being a dad. I, like you, Tommy, we're reaching fatherhood later in life. I grew up with young parents. My dad was 20, I think, when I was born. My mom was 21 or 22. And so growing up with young parents, I always wanted to be a young parent, and it's just not how life worked out. And so it wasn't until, I was well into my 30s that started having kids. And so I think I'm just still in the kind of awe stage of like, wow, this is where I'm at now. This is what I've wanted for a while. And I'm finally here, and just trying to absorb it all, and just feel super blessed that I get to experience it. I'm sure, as they grow and develop, and, I start seeing their personalities more and start seeing uniquely the ways that we have shaped or molded or helped guide them to grow up to be young men. I think that's probably a bit more where that sense of pride will kick in, because I'll be able to see where our efforts, what was come out of that. At this point, they're still super young, and right now we're in the 3-year-old stage with Leo, and everything feels like a failure. So it's tough.
It makes sense though, what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think I'm still just in that, like, okay, this is happening type of phase. And I'm sure in time I'll be able to reflect back and see when the pride kicks in, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Pete, anything?
Yeah. So a little bit more from the perspective of our now grown kids. despite all that I got wrong, this is what I'm really proud of. I got enough right that they enjoy spending time with me and occasionally even seeking out my point of view.
Mm.
So that's very gratifying because it's hard to know how it's going to turn out. Up here, of course, they're independent and they have their own lives, but when they're around, like, and I can tell that it's not like a chore to hang out.
Yeah.
So
I think that's huge. And I mean, I feel that I feel very fortunate that I have a really good relationship with my father. And I look forward to actually hanging out with him now that I'm a grown man about to have my first child. It's interesting listening to you both coming from different, obviously times. Ralph, you're still kind of a newer dad, and Pete, you have, kids that are grown now. And it's interesting just hearing where you both are at. And I think it's all good. I think I'm going to be soon with you, Ralph, not knowing what I'm really proud of yet, as long as I'm, keeping her alive and helping her grow and develop.
Yep.
And,
One foot in front of the other.
I think, Pete, what you're saying is what I hope to get to someday is, older and they want to come hang out with me.
like, I know everybody says it. It's so true. It goes by so fast. It doesn't seem like it when you're in the middle of it sometimes because you have 7 soccer games and then a piano recital, 0 for 8.
Seems a lot. It's not in one day.
Yeah. And then you blink and you're like, what happened? Somebody's 13, somebody's graduating from high school. And so I know,
Yeah.
So I guess I had to say it.
Well, I think it's just a good reminder, Pete. It's and you guys have said it a few times throughout tonight, and it's really just, taking the moment, be present, right? Just be present, because it's going to go by fast. I know that. I'm getting older and I feel that just my life's going by faster.
Yeah.
It's so funny that the older you get, the faster life.
Oh man, it's like it's really moving.
Of course,
so
it's just perception, but yeah.
So we'll just wrap this up. I just had one last question, and this is just, maybe you have a book or something to recommend, but is there a dad or father figure that you admire and why?
You want to go first on this one?
Sure. I'm not sure mine will be inspirational or not, but
it doesn't have to be. It could be your neighbor. It doesn't matter.
Two father figures come to mind. Marlin from Finding Nemo.
Nice. Good one.
Because he kind of went, I was going to say the ends of the earth, but I guess the ends of the sea in his case. Right. Yeah. Making sure that, I didn't think I'd get emotional about this, but making sure that your kids always have a home.
I like that.
The second one that I thought of is George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. I know that's an old school movie. That movie is all about second chances, I think, for ourselves, for our kids. And I think it's really important as a dad to make sure that your kids always know they have a do-over. So anyway, those are my two.
Those are great. Those are great.
Off to you, Ralph.
Mine's just kind of more of a segue off the last question, but my own dad. I know a lot of folks out there either had absent fathers or terrible experiences with their fathers, and so I just wanted to acknowledge that fact that I realized how fortunate I am to have a father that I just adore. He was phenomenal. He's still around. Sorry, Pops. He's phenomenal. And it's been fun seeing him as a grandpa, but I'm just so grateful to have had him as a dad, for the lessons he's instilled in me, for the way he's embodied just incredible principles, joy and warmth. He's just, if anyone's ever met him in person, the first thing they say is like, is this guy for real? Like, is he really, that nice and joyful, and just huge bear hugs. And he's, I can't say enough about him. So he's the bar. And so just trying to, like you said, Pete, you take the best of what you're given and what you've experienced, and as much as you can, you try and improve upon it. But just grateful for the example that I had in him and both my grandparents. grandfathers were just incredible men. And obviously everyone has their flaws, but just feel extremely fortunate for the legacy that's been handed down to me, and then to try and instill that into Leonidas and Olympus as well.
Wow. You guys are making me feel all emotional. Those were really amazing answers. And I mean, that's all I have. And this is the start of a new and beautiful and incredible, amazing, not enough words to explain it, but journey,
Yep.
And I appreciate you guys answering some questions. I'm excited to be a new dad. And for all the new dads out there, I think keep asking questions, keep asking questions and learning and growing. And all we can do is do the best we can.
Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.